Missing something? There we go. Alright, sorry about that. But yeah, welcome to the Premier League reaction video predictions, if that makes sense. Basically, at the start of the season, I made my Premier League predictions, and obviously, this is me going to be looking back, see how I did, see how many I got out of 20, see how many I was close with, and see how many I just got absolutely wrong completely. So, before we do get into this video, I'm just going to say it out the gate as well. I will be doing the EFL Championship, League 1 and League 2 reactions down the line. I know League 1 and the playoff has already finished. But for the Championship and for League 2, the playoffs don't finish till next weekend. The playoff final is next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I believe, both of them. So what I'll be doing them next week. But the Premier League is done, and I know the League 1 is done, but like I said, I'll do that along with the other lower leagues once it comes around to those playoff finals finishing. So, we're also going to do this in alphabetical order. There will be a spreadsheet link in the bottom of the description. If you want to take a look in more detail at how far I was off, I'll put the differences between where I was and where I guessed them. I'll put the full results in there. But I will just be explaining my predictions and the reaction to my predictions. Like I said, alphabetical order. So we will be starting with Arsenal. And I'm going to be real with you. They, in my opinion, they overperformed in, like, just in general, to be honest. I think these are my predictions. Have I done them wrong? Hold on. Bear with me. I think I might have got the wrong predictions. Give me a second. We are, as you can see, we're very, very organised on this channel. Just give me a moment. I think I might have got the wrong predictions. These might have been from the season before. So I'm just checking them out, making sure. No, these are the correct ones. These are the correct ones. Right. So I put Arsenal 7th, and they finished 5th. So it's only 2 spot difference, which isn't the worst. But they absolutely outperformed my expectations of them. I thought they'd have a similar season to last season, where they just, well, I think they were 8th actually. I thought they were going to go a little bit higher this season. I thought they were going to just scrape some kind of European football in 7th place, get that European conference spot. But no, they took the top 4 race all the way to the wire, and unfortunately came out on the losing end of it, despite finishing with a 5-1 win at the end of the season. It was all down between them and Tottenham at the end of the day, and I'll cover Tottenham obviously later on. But Arsenal definitely outperformed how I expected them to perform. 22 wins and 69 points. Not a bad total at all. I'll admit, I'll hold my hands up. I was wrong. 5th place for Arsenal. That was a very good season for them. On to the next one then, Aston and Villa. Now this is a bit of a disaster class for me. With all the fucking signings they made, Leon Bailey, Luca Digne, Danny Ings, there's many a signing to bolster the Aston Villa team. Maybe Buendia as well. I thought they were all going to hit the heights. I know Jack Grealish left at the start of the season, and that left a big hole in the Aston Villa midfield. I thought, oh, it'll be fine. They'll probably get this talent together and be able to get a safe mid-table spot. It's a mid-table spot, but it's not by any means safe. I thought they'd be a lot higher, well, not a lot higher up. I think I predicted them 9th. I predicted them 9th, they finished 14th. So that's a difference of 5 places. I may be over-predicted for them. I may be overthought that Buendia... I didn't think Buendia was going to be the next Grealish. I don't want to say that, but I thought Buendia would perform to a level that wouldn't matter. And of course, they brought in Coutinho in January, and he started off like a house on fire, but towards the end of the season, he started dwindling. I completely forgot about Coutinho there. He ripped us apart when Aston Villa played us, but towards the end of the season, he kind of fell off a little bit. They have signed him on a permanent deal, I believe, or they're trying to sign him on a permanent deal, but they had the talent, they just didn't have the results somehow, and I don't know how, and especially the last day of the season just there. They took City down nearly. It was a 2-0 lead, but then I don't know what happened. They just capitulated. Aston Villa 14th. I expected a bit more from them, to be honest, but I'm 5 places off with that one, so that's unfortunate for me. Up next, we've got Brentford. Now, I expected them to survive. I did say at the start of the season they would be the surprise team, but I didn't expect them to survive by much. I put them as 17th. They finished 13th. They out-predicted me again. They outperformed in my opinion. I said they would survive, but I didn't think they would survive with comfort. I thought they would be scrapping down at the bottom, and for enough of the season they were, but they managed to get enough daylight between themselves and the bottom three to finish in a nice 13th place. So it's a 4 difference from there. They were a very good team. They were very entertaining to watch at some points. Against Man United, I'm going to be talking about Man United a lot because, of course, I support them. They didn't seem like they were too good. But against some of the other teams, they got some shock results this season, which fair play to them. I didn't expect them to, do as well as they did. I don't think a lot of people did, to be honest. But then, of course, they did lose on the final day, 2-1 to Leeds, and that helped Leeds stay up. We'll cover that as we go on. But Brentford, I've got to give credit to them. I didn't think they'd stay up by as much as they did. I thought it'd be maybe a point or a goal difference, perhaps, that would keep them up out of the drop. But no, 13th place, very strong result. Fair play to them. I can't say more than fair play to them. Credit to the bees. Anyway, we've got Brighton up next, and this is another team that absolutely outperformed this season. And we don't talk about the Brighton Man United game that happened a few weeks ago. We're just going to keep that out of the running. But Brighton finished in 9th place, and it could have been higher. It really could have been higher. They had some very good results this season. They started the season on fire. They kind of, in the middle of the season, kind of fell a little bit, but they ended strong. They ended quite well. And they got themselves in 9th place, which is, I didn't expect them top half, if I'm being honest. I didn't expect them relegation. I thought they'd be a healthy, bottom half club. I put them as 14th, and they finished 9th. So if I just swapped Aston Villa and Brighton around, I would have been correct for both of them. But no, Brighton in 14th was my prediction. In 9th was the real result. And they did have some good results. They finished off the season with a 3-1 win against West Ham, which really helped Man United, as we'll talk about very, very soon. But we also... Man United did get beaten 4-0 by Brentford or by Brighton. They beat Wolves 3-0. They beat Tottenham. They beat Arsenal. They had some very good results this season, looking back at some of these results. It's just ridiculous. They drew with Chelsea. I think they took points off all of the top 6, which is incredible, really. Maybe not Man City. They took points off Liverpool. I'm just seeing if they took points off Man City. And if they did, that's a very good achievement for Brighton to take points off all of the top 6. I'm just trying to find the other Man City game. Bear with me. They didn't take points off Man City. So they took points off all the top 6 besides Man City. That's a brilliant achievement. And 9th place. I honestly, with the right signings, and this might be a bold prediction, I don't know if I'll follow through on this, but they could actually push for that Europa Conference spot. I'm not going to lie to you. Leicester underperformed. We'll get to them in a second. West Ham fell off again. But Brighton started strong and ended strong. If they get that middle of the season sorted out, they'd pick up more wins than draws. They had 15 draws. I believe that's the most in the Premier League, joint most in the Premier League. If they can convert some of those into wins, they might finish above us. But definitely, Brighton are a team to watch if they can get the right signings. They've got a good manager. They just need the players to back up. I wouldn't be completely amiss saying that they could get European football. I know it's a bold prediction, but I'm a bold predictor. So, yeah, Brighton, definitely a team to watch, and definitely a team that outperformed my expectations of them this season. Burnley, this is a bittersweet one. I predicted them to be in the relegation battle at the start of the season. I fully did. But I predicted them to be on the survival end of the relegation battle. Not the unfortunate bad end of it. They finished 18th. It went down to the final day of the season. And of course, we talked about it, I think when we were talking about Brentford, they lost to Leeds on the final day of the season. Leeds got the win that they needed. And Burnley, unfortunately, didn't. They came up against Newcastle and lost 2-1. But by no means were they awful this year. They got a lot of points off top 6 teams again. I think they drew against us one time. I think they drew against us both times, maybe. If I remember correctly. But Burnley, very, very good. Just not good enough. It's just when there were losses, they were just slim losses that could have turned into points, could have turned into wins. But the thing is, they only got 7 wins the whole season. You need a lot more. You need to be, I think, in double figures in terms of wins usually to survive. There's a couple of teams who haven't done that, but you need to have at least 10 wins to be able to stay out the drop, in my opinion. And they couldn't do that. But they, by no means, they had a very, for relegation side, they had a good goal difference. I know it's minus 19 is their goal difference, but it's a good goal difference for a team that is getting relegated. And looking at this, there's a few teams, and I'm not naming any names, that conceded more than than Burnley, and they finished in top six. Again, I'm not naming any names. But Burnley, unfortunately, going down back to the Championship. But the thing is, they have the talent. If they can hold on to their players, especially Weghorst, he will be a dominator. He'll be a Mitrovic in the Championship, in my opinion. But if Burnley can hold on to their players, I don't see why they can't bounce straight back up. But that is a prediction for next season. But unfortunately, Burnley back to the Championship after, I believe, over a decade in the Premier League. They sacked Sean Dyche. I think if they kept Sean Dyche on, he probably would have done enough to keep them up. And they nearly did do enough to stay up, but it just came down to that final day, and the result wasn't in their favour on the day. So it's unfortunate for Burnley. I predicted them 16th. They finished 18th. It's a -2 spot, but I thought they would survive, and unfortunately they didn't. Moving on now to Chelsea. Now, I may have over-predicted for this one. I mean, I'm only a position off. I'm only one position off. I put Chelsea in second, and they finished third, but they finished a long third. Man City and Liverpool ran off with the league. We'll talk about that later, of course, as we will with all the teams. But Chelsea did finish third. It was looking a little ropey with current world events going on. I won't go into too much detail, but they've managed to secure another Champions League spot this season. It's third place. I thought that they would finish second, and I'm going to be honest with you. With Romelu Lukaku, he's a man that I thought, oh, he might flop or he might do really well. And if he does really well, they're probably in the title race. And I picked this prediction on the fact that he would perform. And unfortunately, it's not all been down to him that he hasn't performed. He's had injuries, he's had kind of controversies, but he hasn't been the signing that Chelsea would have liked this season. I believe their top scorer, if I'm correct, was Mason Mount. And he is a midfielder. Obviously, he's a very good young English player. But Lukaku should be banging him in left, right, and centre. And Timo Werner, another season where he's been struggling at Chelsea. They've got two very capable strikers, but they just can't seem to find the back of the net, which is unfortunate. But they've still got 76 goals, so the goals are coming all over the park. They've got to give credit to the back five of Chelsea. I believe they scored a lot of the goals. Reece James, who else was it? It was Rudiger. He scored a lot. He'll be going away, unfortunately, to Real Madrid. But the defence coming in with a lot of goals, pitching in with a lot of goals, as well as the midfield. We've got some bangers from Ziyech as well, and obviously the penalties from Jorginho. I believe he scored about, I won't say 10 penalties. It feels like it was 10 penalties. I'm not got the actual stat, but he did score a lot of penalties this season to help with Chelsea's top four push. And in the end, they did get third place. But if I've got the firepower up front like Chelsea have, Lukaku and Werner, those two are proven strikers in other leagues. But in the Premier League, they just seem to falter, and I don't know why. But maybe next season, Lukaku will kick on. I don't know if Werner will be at Chelsea, but if so, maybe he'll kick on. I don't know. Kai Havertz as well. They've been playing him in the striker role. Maybe he's had a very good breakout season, actually. I'll give Kai Havertz his credit. He's been very good this season. But Chelsea do get third place. Again, I thought it would be a title race between City and Chelsea, with Chelsea just pushing City to the wire. But instead, it was Chelsea who finished 18 points behind second place and 19 points off the top. By no means as bad as Manchester United, but we'll get to them when we get to them. 19 points, what am I on about? Off the top. Chelsea getting third. It's another season in the Champions League. Up next, we've got Crystal Palace, and I believe this may be bang on. It's not bang on. It's not bang on at all. Chelsea are done. Crystal Palace finishing at 12th this season. I predicted them to be 15th. So I did predict that lower mid-table, but they've gone 3 places above where I put them. There's quite a lot. I think I read these over last night, and I think there's only a few that actually got spot on. But Crystal Palace, unfortunately, was not one of them. 12th in real life, like I said. 15th on my predictions. They did surprise a few teams this season. I knew they were just going to be consolidating the status in the Premier League, and they did exactly that. Some surprise wins on the final day, of course. And maybe it's not a surprise win the way it's been this season, but Crystal Palace defeating Manchester United 1-0 on the final day, ensuring a good, safe spot in the Premier League. But they got some good points this season. They beat Arsenal 3-0. They beat Spurs 3-0. They beat Wolves. I think they took points off the top 6 as well. I think they took some draws as well, from memory. But they definitely had a very good season compared to where I predicted them as. They did lose against some of the lower teams that you'd expect them to beat, but they also beat and got points off some of the teams you expect them to lose to. So it's kind of a 50-50 kind of thing. Wilfred Zaha doing very well this season. He'll probably get a move, I think, this time. I always say he'll get a move. And he's been with Palace for goodness knows how long. He did have the brief spell with United, but went straight back to Palace. I don't. I think he could have had a good move somewhere, but I think now he's probably just settled at Palace. But don't be surprised if he does move. To be honest, don't be surprised if he does move. Crystal Palace may want to cash in on him. I don't know, but Crystal Palace did get some good signings at the start of the season as well. The main one as well being Odsonne Edouard. I didn't know how he would do in the Premier League after playing in the Scottish League for so long. It's a very different league in England than it is to Scotland. But he kicked on and got quite a few good goals for Crystal Palace this season. I'll give him credit. He done very well. He outperformed my expectations, because you see sometimes a player move in from a league that has kind of less competition and they move to the Premier League. You expect him to maybe flop, but Edouard, no, he didn't flop at all. He done a very good job. He probably could have scored a few more, but you can't knock him down. He did a very good job getting the goals he did this season for Crystal Palace, and with that they finished 12th. I was 3 positions off. On to what might be my worst prediction, but by no means did I expect this. And if you said you expected Everton to be in a relegation battle at the start of the season, you are chatting shit. There is no chance that anyone said, oh, Everton are going down. Everton are going to be in a relegation battle. Everyone predicted Everton to be, at best, a top half side. At worst, maybe 13th, 14th area. No one said Everton are going to be going in the relegation zone in a relegation battle. And in the end, even though it took them long enough, they have survived by 4 points. They finished 16th. But that is ridiculous for a club like Everton, for some of the talent they have. They have Richarlison, they have Calvert-Lewin, they've got Pickford in goal. I mean, it did lose some players in the summer and, of course, in January. Rafa Benitez, maybe not the best manager for them. Fell out with James Rodriguez, of course, then sold Luca Digne in January and then promptly left the club. Everton were a sinking ship, but they've managed to do enough to secure Premier League status, and I think they will. I think they will stay in the Premier League next season. I think they'll build on that now. But if they had gone down, my God, would that have been a story? Just imagine. I mean, they would have come straight back up, but they would have lost some of the big name players. But it's just ridiculous how they're even in a relegation battle with the team they have. They have survived. I predicted them. Where did I predict them? Let me just check. I think I predicted them. Try to count. I think I predicted them 11th. 11th was my prediction. 16th was where they finished. But if you're telling me that you thought Everton were going to be in a relegation battle, I'll say it once again, you're chatting shit. Everton should have survived comfortably with that team. The management, I think, is what let them down, and there's a reason that they're down in 16th. But it should have been an easy season with the talent they had, regardless. But Everton underperforming, 16th, still in the Premier League. Maybe build on that next season. Now, this is a contentious one because Leeds is another one I got quite far off. I thought that Leeds... There's some teams in the Premier League that you've seen in the past that have second season syndrome, which is when they perform well in the first season, they overperform in the first season, and then second season they go straight back down. Now, I was one of those who thought Leeds wouldn't do that. I've put them as 12th place in my predictions. I thought Leeds would be able to have a strong enough team. They have a similar team to the first season in the Premier League. I thought Leeds would be able to just kick on, get some good results against the lower teams, maybe struggle against the top teams, but kick on against the lower teams, get some good results, and hold on to their Premier League status quite comfortably. I was wrong, obviously. They started off quite well, and they looked like they were going to be comfortable, but then they sacked what's his name, Marcelo Bielsa, brought in Jesse March, and then they started falling down the table. I don't know, I think they fell down the table while Bielsa was still in charge. But I think they should have let Bielsa see out the season, in my opinion. But they have survived. I can't begrudge them that. They have survived. It took them to the final day, beating Brentford 2-1 in the last minute Jack Harrison goal, saving them from relegation. But realistically, they weren't going to go down anyway, as Burnley had already dropped points. But Leeds do survive. If I had to pick out of Leeds and Burnley to go down, I wanted Leeds to go down. Of course, the rivalry with Manchester United. But I'll give them their props. They have survived, but it's been a torrid season for Leeds United. I don't know how they've stayed up with some of the results they got, but they have stayed up, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Whether they stay up for a third season, it all depends. They could be seeing some outgoings. Rafinha, he's one of the biggest players linked to a move away, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does go away. He is a talented guy, and somehow he's still at Leeds. I wouldn't be surprised to see Rafinha go. Rodrigo might be on the way out. I don't know, Harrison could be gone. Harrison maybe earned a big move. He's been very good for Leeds this season. It all depends on the transfer window as to whether they stay up next season, but they have just stayed up this season, and I thought it'd be a lot more comfortable for Leeds. I was proven wrong. 12th was my prediction, 17th was the result. Let's move on. Leicester City. Now, this is another one. This is another one of teams, like, they've underperformed as well. I don't understand. I don't understand how they've underperformed the talent they have. They've picked up at the end of the season, and they finished in 8th place. But for the majority of the season, underperforming. Leicester is a team, like, I know you wouldn't associate them as a big six club, but you'd expect them to be up there. And to be fair, that's kind of where they finished. I maybe over-predicted for them. I put them as 5th. I thought they would do another season as 5th, because they had 2 seasons as 5th, just missing out on Champions League the 2 seasons before that. I thought they'd do that again, but obviously I've been proven wrong. I thought they would get Europa League quite comfortably. They didn't. They finished 8th. They're not even in Europe this season around, unless, I mean, can they still get in Europe? I don't think they can still get to Europe. So no Europe for Leicester this year, which is a bit underwhelming, and I would say underperforming from what we know Leicester now. Ever since the Premier League win back in 2015-2016, you'd think, well, they're up there now. But they did finish the season after the Premier League win. They did finish badly, but they've kind of climbed up. And I would say if there was like a top 7, I would probably argue them being in there. But there's top 6, of course, and then there's Leicester and West Ham, and I don't know. There's just so much competition in the Premier League. But basically the point I'm saying is I expected Leicester to be in Europa League, and I've been proven wrong. They still have all the talent they have, and the fact that they've got 8th is quite lucky, to be honest. I think they got 10 points out of the last 12 that they could have got, beating Norwich and Watford and Southampton, drawing to Chelsea. It's been a weird season for Leicester. They also got to the semis of the Conference League, but knocked out by Roma. But they beat us. Everyone beat us this season. Everyone beat Man United. We'll get to that very, very soon. We're nearly there. But Leicester, I would say they underperformed, in my opinion. But that's because I put them 5th and they finished 8th. So no Europe for Leicester, but by no means I mean, it's kind of worrying if you're expecting Europe from Leicester, which I was, but at the same time, by no means are they going down anytime soon. By no means they're going to fall anytime soon. Brendan Rodgers might be on the outs, I think, for the manager spot, but you just never know. He's done a good job while he's been there, but I think maybe it's time to get some fresh blood in. I don't know at all. But anyway, we're going to move on to Liverpool. Now this, I apologise to any Liverpool fans. I have criminally underrated you this season. I put them as 4th place. They finished 2nd, taking the title race to the wire, taking the title race to the final day. After Man City should have had it like sewn up and done. I think they were 12 points clear, maybe even 15 points clear at one point. But Liverpool had done one hell of a job, going on one hell of a run to take the title race down to the final day. And I didn't expect them to. I thought that Mane would underperform again. I didn't think Salah would hit the heights that he's been hitting for Liverpool. And for that, I apologise. They've been a very, very good, well-oiled machine. The back four has been brilliant. Van Dijk being in there for a whole season, you can tell the difference. As well as Trent Alexander-Arnold. I know he is one that people have said has been good right back for a while, but I reckon this is his true breakout season where he becomes one of, if not the best right back in the world. And I can't even deny it. As a United fan, it pains me to say, but I can't even deny it. Trent is one of the best, if not the best, right backs in the world. They've got a solid midfield. I don't really know what to say otherwise. There's a couple of draws that they could have converted into wins. That's the only thing I can really say. If they beat Spurs like they should have beat Spurs, then they win the Premier League. But there's a couple of results that didn't go their way, and it's cost them the Premier League title in the end. 3-1 win against Wolves on the final day wasn't enough, unfortunately, but they did take it to the wire. 92 points, only 1 point behind Manchester City, 5 goal difference apart from them as well. And you've got to think, just a couple of those draws that should have been wins, Liverpool should have been the Premier League champions. But it's unfortunate and it's heartbreak for the Reds. As a United fan, I like to see it, but as a Liverpool fan, obviously, you want your Premier League title. And it's just unfortunate that it's just fallen short. But you've exceeded my expectations, to be fair. I thought that it would just be a little fall again with Mane and Salah kind of coming on in age. I mean, they're only 30, but you expect them to maybe just lose a step, perhaps. I expected them to lose a step, but I've been proven wrong. We've got Mane coming in with a lot of goals and assists, very creative this season. Mohamed Salah, joint Golden Boot winner. I didn't think he would hit those heights again. I'm just going to shut my mouth when it comes to Mohamed Salah, I think. And then, of course, Diogo Jota, the surprise package. I know they signed him, but I didn't think he would displace Firmino in that front three. And he has. And not only has he done that, he's done a brilliant job. I think he's one of the top scorers as well. He's top 5. So fair play to Diogo Jota. Hopefully he can kick on and become a very good Liverpool player. He already is, but hopefully he can continue that form and continue playing like that because he is a very good player. But Liverpool second, I put them fourth. I'm wrong again. Now, the first one that I've got spot on, and like I said, at the halfway point, I thought this was a given. I thought this was just going to be an easy prediction. I thought it was a given. I thought Man City, oh yeah, they're going to fucking finish the league with no problem. At the halfway point, I was looking at predictions. I was like, oh yeah, I'm absolutely spot on with Man City. 15 points clear, whatever it was, 12 points clear. They're not going to have a problem. In the end, they choked it a little bit, I'm not going to lie, but they did enough to win the Premier League just about. I was watching the highlights of the Aston Villa Man City game yesterday. Aston Villa going 2-0 up, and the trophy was Liverpool's to lose. And unfortunately, even though Liverpool did get the win that they needed, Man City came back from 2-0 down to win 3-2, and they clinched another Premier League title. I don't know if this is 5 or 6 now that they've had, but Premier League champions once again, 2 in a row, I believe, as well. They won last season, they won again this season, only by a point. But without a proven striker and still scoring 99 goals, it's mad. It's mad how they managed to score so many goals without having a striker. They've got so much creative play though, and it'll always end up being a goal if you've got someone who can just kick the ball. And obviously, I don't know who their top scorer was this season, but they've got enough goals as a cohesive unit to get the title once again. I'm just going to quickly check the top scorers list and see if they've got anyone in there from Man City. I would say De Bruyne is probably their top goal scorer, but I don't know. Yeah, De Bruyne, 15. He was the top goal scorer from midfield. Sterling up there with 13 as well. Mahrez with 11. There's goals coming across from all over the pitch, which is why they don't really need a proven striker, and they've proven that this season. They nearly hit 100 goals. They were one off 100 goals this season. The fact that they can do that without a striker, and the problem is, and we know him, the 6'6" massive man. I think he's 6'6". Anyway, he's massive. He's going to Man City. It's Haaland. The fact that they've signed Haaland and he could probably do a job for them, I don't think they'll be stopped next season either. I don't think they'll be stopped for a long time to come. Haaland will put probably 20 at least in. And with the goals coming all over the pitch, if they don't get a lot of departures, Man City, I think they're going to win the league again next season, to be completely honest with you. They did this without a proven striker. Now they've got a proven striker, who knows? And I hate to say it because they're cross-city rivals. But Manchester City winning the Premier League once again, fair fucks to them. They took it down to the wire. They didn't really need to. They choked a few results that they could have just done comfortably. But of course they had European competitions. Liverpool has European competitions as well, so I guess that's not really an excuse. But Man City winning the league by a point. I predicted them first. They finished first. I thought it'd be more comfortable than it was. I don't want to talk about this team. I just don't want to talk about. We have been awful. I think this is the worst season we've had since we became a Premier League side, since the Premier League started back in 1992. It is just catastrophic what has gone on this season. 12 losses to teams that we should be beating. We've got 16 wins. I don't know how. I don't know how we've got 6th, because looking at our stats, 16 wins, 10 draws, 12 losses. We have dropped points in more games than we haven't dropped points, which is ridiculous to finish 6th with that kind of form. I am absolutely flabbergasted at how shit we've been this year. 57 goals scored, 57 goals conceded. We were almost in negative goal difference. The only reason we aren't is because Crystal Palace only put 1 past us. It's a fucking 0 goal difference for a top 6 side. You look at this table and we shouldn't be finishing 6th. With that form, we definitely shouldn't be finishing 6th. We should be finishing outside Europe. The only reason we haven't is because West Ham have choked, Leicester have choked, and there's no real other contenders to that 6th spot. It actually pains me. I'm going to go back and look at some of the results, but I don't want to, because I just know how awful we've been and how awful some of these results have been. Brighton, 4-0 loss. Crystal Palace 1-0 loss at the end of the season. 3-1 to Arsenal. 4-0 to Liverpool against Man United. 9-0 on aggregate for Liverpool over us this season. A 5-0 loss earlier in the season. A 4-0 loss last game as well. We nearly lost to Norwich. It was a 3-2 victory. We lost to Everton, who, my God, were battling relegation the whole season and couldn't pass a parcel at points. And they beat us. We lost to Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. That doesn't corroborate with the league. 4-1 to our rivals. Man City, of course. It's points we shouldn't be dropping against like Burnley, Southampton, Villa. We should be beating those. We lost to Wolves. We drew with Newcastle. We beat Norwich 1-0 as well earlier in the season thanks to a Cristiano Ronaldo penalty. We should be putting them to bed. We should be destroying them. A 1-0 over Palace. Even the wins we got weren't exactly significant. 3-2 over Arsenal. We're just squeaking past. We're not exactly destroying. The 4-1 over Watford, or Watford over us, was probably the most embarrassing result. I know we had a 4-0 against Brighton, but I think I've got to say the 4-1 with Watford was an absolute embarrassment, and I can't believe that we lost 4-1 to Watford of all teams. I believe Josh King got a hat-trick, did he not? No, he got a goal. He was one of our academy prospects, and now he's going to score past us. But that was Ole's last game, and I know he absolutely fucked us for that game. But I think he should have seen out the season. I think if he sees out the season, we don't get top four, I don't think. I don't think we'll get top four under either Solskjaer or Ragnick, to be honest. But I think we might have seen a bit better form than we did under Ralph, because we don't talk about the second half of the season. We don't talk about any of this season. The 5-0 loss to Liverpool, of course. The 4-2 to Leicester. We lost to Villa earlier in the season as well. We started off quite well. Just bear with me. Technical difficulties. I think we're fine, actually. Now it's sorted. But Man United, a season to forget, especially if you're a Man United fan. Hopefully Ten Hag can come in, rebuild this team, get some fucking motivation out of this team. Hopefully Deadwood goes. Hopefully we get players in who want to play for the club, who want to perform in the Premier League, and hopefully we can get back to the glory days. I'm going to predict top four again next season, purely because that's where we should be. But I'm not holding my breath. Newcastle, now this is a tricky case. This is a tricky prospect of a case, because I put them to survive quite comfortably. And the thing is, if it hadn't been for the cash injection halfway through the season, they probably would have gone down. They probably would have been relegated. They probably would have gone down with a whimper. They were bottom of the table, I believe, at Christmas, with not a lot of points. I think they had one win before Christmas, I believe. But of course, the January transfer window came. Newcastle spent, and they spent well. They did very well to end the season. The second half of the season was a bit of a renaissance for them. They did finish in 11th. I predicted them to be 13th. I did think they would survive, but that was before the money came in, and I don't know what I was thinking putting them 13th before the money came in. But luckily, the owners did take over. Newcastle did finish mid-table, and I don't look as stupid as I initially did, which is good. 11th place, like I said. 13th was my prediction. They got some good wins. They finished with a win over Burnley, relegating them, the bastards. 2-1 win. They beat Arsenal 2-0. They got some surprise results with the new team they had. Beat Leicester 2-1. Teams they should be beating, and of course, they weren't just falling apart like they were for the first half of the season. My God, some of these results for Newcastle in the first half of the season should have seen them go down. And like I said, if it wasn't for the owners buying Newcastle, the current owners now, they would have gone down. But fair play to Newcastle. They've got the signings that they needed. I believe they signed in a Target on loan. They signed in Dan Burn as a centre-back. Kieran Trippier, although he did get injured, he was good for the spell he wasn't injured. Try to think as well. Who else did they bring in? They brought in Chris Wood. But there's a lot to build on for Newcastle. With the money they have, I think they will build on it, and I think they will just rise up the table now, quite honestly. They'll go back to the glory days of Shearer and challenging for the Premier League title. Maybe in the future, maybe not next season, but at least, I think in the next 5 years, top four for Newcastle, especially if they spend the money right. On to Norwich. Now, this is another one I got right. I think this was a given. Norwich didn't have the squad depth, didn't have the players, didn't sign enough players to warrant Premier League survival. Sold Buendia, and Buendia was one of the main reasons they got up from the Championship, and I know Buendia didn't perform for Aston Villa, but of course selling him left a big hole in the Norwich midfield, and it was just weakness all over the pitch. They didn't have the squad, they didn't have the strength, and they couldn't get the results. And it was kind of footnoted with a 5-0 loss to Spurs at the end of the season just there. 3-0 loss to Leicester, 4-0 to West Ham, 2-0 to Villa. I think they might be one of the lowest scoring teams in history as well. 23 goals. They only managed 23 goals this season. That is not survival form. That's not even, I don't know, that's not even probably survival form in any league. 23 goals. That's ridiculous. I think I'm going back to the start of the season here. I think there was a lot. I don't know how long they lost for. They went on a losing streak. Them and, kind of, can you believe it, Arsenal went on a losing streak. I'm trying to see how many Norwich lost in a row before they actually got points. It was 8 losses in a row before they finally got points. And even then, the points were a 0-0 draw with Burnley and a 0-0 draw with Brighton. They promptly went on to lose 7-0 to Chelsea after that. And their first win, I think, looking at this now, came 12 games in against Brentford. That is not survival form. And 23 goals, I think it was just 5 wins all season. They quite frankly deserve to go down. I didn't think they would go down with as much of a whimper as they did. I thought they'd have a bit of fight in them. I thought they'd maybe try and, I thought the relegation zone probably would be closer than it was, is my point. I knew they'd finish bottom, but I thought it'd be like Norwich maybe 30 odd points, Watford maybe 32, Burnley 35, or whoever I put as 18th, we'll get to that in a second, 35, and then, yeah, just a lot closer of a relegation zone. But Norwich completely fell off, completely capitulated. They were not good at all, and they quite frankly deserved to go down to the Championship. And what's more, it's the perform in the Championship, come back up to the Premier League and do the same thing again. It's a yo-yo cycle between them and Fulham. So Norwich going down in 20th, no surprise there, and not the form to be surviving with anyway. On to Southampton now. This is a contentious one. This is quite contentious because Southampton, I mean, they didn't do brilliant. They didn't do wonderful. But they got enough points to survive. 40 points, of course, is the magic number. They got that 40. But they were taking points off some of the big teams. And then they were losing to some of the teams they should be beating. It was quite a weird season for Southampton. But even despite all that, they outperformed what I thought. I thought this is the year Southampton go down. I put them in 18th. They finished 15th. And if it wasn't for some underperforming teams like Everton and Leeds, Southampton may well have been dragged into a relegation battle, in my opinion. And I'm surprised they didn't. For most of the season, they just hovered above it, managed to stay out of reach. And you've got to credit a lot of that to James Ward-Prowse. One of the best English players right now, the best free kick taker in the Premier League. And surely he moves on from Southampton. I don't know if Southampton will want to move him on. I mean, of course they won't want to move him on, but I don't know if they'll get an offer that they can't refuse. Maybe they have to move him on. And I'm going to be honest, if James Ward-Prowse leaves that club, it might be curtains for Southampton in the Premier League. I know they're not a one-man team. They have goals popping up from everywhere. Che Adams was quite a strong striker. He got a few. Adam Armstrong, he wasn't great, but he got popped up with the goals when he needed to. 43 goals for Southampton. 9. I did say earlier as well, I think it was for Burnley or for Leeds, that you need double-figure wins, like you need at least 10 wins to survive. Southampton only got 9, but of course they took points off some of the big teams. They took points off Manchester United. I believe they took points off Chelsea as well as Liverpool from memory. But they got enough points to survive. Of course, 40 is a magic number. Once you hit 40, you're safe. They did survive. I was wrong. They proved me wrong, but I can guarantee you, if James Ward-Prowse does leave in the summer, Southampton will be going down next season. That's all I'm saying. Up next, we've got Spurs, and this is another one I underpredicted because, of course, it's Spurs. You can't rely on them to do anything. The bottle jobs that they are, I can't call them bottle jobs anymore. They finished above us. We're the bottle jobs now. I'm going to comment on Man United a bit more again. We had the top 4 race kind of sewn up. We were quite a way ahead of Arsenal and Spurs, and we just capitulated. And of course, the North London teams, both of them, took advantage of that. And Spurs finishing in 4th, grabbing that final Champions League spot, and you can't say it wasn't deserved. Their form towards the end of the season was ridiculous. They brought in Conte, brought in Kulusevski on loan, brought in Bentancur. The form was very good. They started playing together as a team again. Kane started banging the goals in the back of the net, and of course, the standout player for Spurs last season, Heung-min Son, joint Golden Boot winner. One of the best seasons he's had. He, in my opinion, was player of the season. I don't know how Kevin De Bruyne won it, but in my opinion, it was Son that was player of the season. And quite frankly, Spurs deserved that top 4 spot. They did lose to us both times, but realistically, that was when they were in a bad position. We were also in a bad position, so it could have gone either way. 5-0 win over Norwich, securing that Champions League spot. But they've been on a bit of a run, to be honest. Beating Burnley, beating Arsenal, drawing with Liverpool. It's a big point for them, to be fair. Beating Leicester. There's some very good results from this Tottenham team, but of course there's some very bad ones as well because they're Tottenham. They've lost to the likes of Burnley, they lost to the likes of Wolves, Crystal Palace. They nearly lost to to Southampton. They drew 1-1 with Southampton when Southampton had 10 men. It's been a weird season. They took points off Liverpool both times, though, to be fair. Spurs could have definitely consolidated it a bit better, but they have consolidated it, and that's all that matters. Spurs finishing in top 4, 71 points. They were 2 points clear of North London rivals Arsenal, who finished 5th, of course. 22 wins, 5 draws, 11 losses, and a big part of that was definitely Kulusevski coming in on loan. He has been a wizard, and if they don't sign up on a permanent, I've got questions for Spurs there. Of course, Heung-min Son, player of the season in my opinion. Harry Kane started off bad, but kicked on and became the Harry Kane we all know and love, especially the Harry Kane we want for England in the World Cup. Take notes, England. Take notes, Harry Kane, for Qatar. Alright? But anyway, Spurs, top 4, fair play to them, can't fault it. Watford, another team, we're getting close to the end now, which is good because my voice is going. I think we've only got 2 more teams after this. Watford finishing 19th. I predicted them 19th. I think everyone thought it was going to be Norwich and Watford getting immediately relegated again. I was considering for a while, I remember, putting Watford 18th and maybe giving them survival. I'm glad I didn't. And I don't know how they've not survived. Well, I do know how they've not survived. They're just not going to have points against the teams that they should be beating. There's a lot of teams here that Watford should be beating, and if they have beaten them, they've got the talent to do it as well. They would have stayed up. But, of course, they didn't. They've got some very good players. Ben Foster in the net. He's a veteran goalkeeper. I don't know if he's very good, to be honest, if I'm being brutally honest. But they have got a stronger squad. Ismaila Sarr, Emmanuel Dennis, both performing. João Pedro, a good young striker. Moussa Sissoko is strong in the midfield. There were some good moments from all these players. But it just didn't come together for them. And unfortunately, they're going down. And in fact, they could have gone down bottom. They were close to going down bottom. It came down to the final day, of course. Once again, Norwich, if they'd somehow beaten Spurs, they would have leapfrogged Watford. But Watford, just not enough. They lost too many. Couldn't get enough points against the teams that they should be beating. And they go down 19th. 6 wins, not enough by any means. 5 draws. They lost the most. They lost more than Norwich this season. 27 losses in the season for the Hornets. 34 goals, 77 conceded. And the thing is, there'll be another team that'll bounce straight back. And maybe think they could go for... they might get playoffs in the Championship next season, because some of the big names, they'll be sick of being with Watford going up and going down. Especially, like I just said, Ismaila Sarr. He'll be wanting to move. Surely, he'll be wanting to move. But Watford going down 19th. I put them 19th. It's another spot on prediction. I think we only got 3. I think we've gone through all 3 of them. West Ham. Now, this might be a spot on prediction, actually. Hold on a minute. I'm one off with West Ham. It's not far off. It's not too bad. West Ham, I predicted them to finish 8th. I didn't think they would replicate the 5th that they got the previous season, because that was an absolute crazy season. Or 6th, was it? 5th or 6th? Either way, that was the season that everyone predicted West Ham to go down. They went and got 6th. I didn't think they'd replicate it. I thought they'd still be in the top half. I thought maybe David Moyes has got his group of players together. They'll perform, they'll kick on really well, and they'll just gel well as a team and continue on. And they've done exactly that. I said 8th. They finished 7th. It's a Europa Conference spot for West Ham. And quite honestly, if they could have got the result against Brighton, it would have been a Europa League spot taken from Manchester United. But they lost to Brighton on the final day, which put paid to that. If they'd beaten Brighton, we lost to Palace, they would have leapfrogged us into that 6th place. Lost to Brighton. They took points off City. Obviously, everyone took points off Norwich. But it was just some very good results for West Ham this season. And honestly, they performed better than us. They played better than us this season, in my opinion. I would say they played better than Man United. It was just a bit leaky at the back. 51 goals conceded, nearly as many as us. And obviously, you got the goals. It was just sometimes they would lose marginally against the teams they should be beating. But of course, sometimes they were beating the teams they should be losing to. So it was an interesting one for West Ham this season. I believe they beat Liverpool. I believe that was Liverpool's first loss this season. But West Ham consolidating their spot in the top half. They're 7th, like I said, European Conference League. Isn't bad. Even though they did have that run in the Europa League, getting to the semi-finals, I reckon they could go all the way in the Europa Conference League, I'm not going to lie. And I wouldn't be surprised if I see them do it. 8th, I said. 7th, they were. 1 place off. Let's get to the final team because I'm getting hungry. and this video is probably going to go on for about half an hour, and you guys don't want to have to hear me waffle for so bloody long. But anyway, Wolves, the final team of this predictions. I predicted them. Wait, did I get them spot on? Well, we finished off with a spot on prediction. I predicted Wolves to finish 10th. They finished 10th. I was considering maybe putting them a little higher, because they did have Jimenez back. I thought they would kick on really well. They have some very good talent in that club. Ruben Neves got to be moving. He's got to be moving. They've got a strong back five. Neto on the wing. Trincao coming in on loan. I don't know if he performed to the standard they expected, but he did perform in some areas, in my opinion. So, Wolves 10th, middle of the pack. And that wasn't meant to be a pun because of Wolves, but middle of the pack. They finished 10th. I predicted them 10th. They lost on the final day to Liverpool, and they could have probably finished higher, but Brighton and Leicester, of course, getting final day wins propelled them above Wolves. I think Wolves would have finished 8th otherwise. They slumped down to 10th because of the loss to Liverpool, of course, and they got some big, heavy losses, to be honest, this season, but they did get some big points as well. They beat Spurs. I believe they took points off us. They might have even beaten us. They did beat us. When I say us, by the way, if anyone is not aware, I mean Man United. But there was not, despite Jimenez coming back, there was not enough goals for a serious European push, only scoring 38. They only scored 38. There was only 3 teams that scored less than Wolves, and they all got relegated. But 38 goals and finishing 10th, you got to take that, surely. They only conceded 43. It was a very good defensive side that Wolves are, but they need a proven striker. I know they've got Jimenez, but they need someone else. Proven striker to get some goals. And I said it as well earlier. I think I said it earlier for who did I say it for earlier? I think I might have said it for Brighton, which might be a weird one. But I think if Wolves can kick on as well, they might be another team fighting for that Europa Conference spot, along with Brighton, in my opinion. I think Leicester will also be there. I think the top 10, I think the top half of the table now, and hell, even Newcastle, that will be a very fun race to watch next season. I think all 11 of those clubs could guarantee. Like, obviously not all of the 11 clubs can get top 7, but there are definitely 7 of those clubs that will get top 7. There's a lot. It's going to be a lot closer. Newcastle with the finances, Brighton with the management. Wolves could bring in a couple of good players, a proven striker, and they could fight for 7th. Of course, West Ham are in 7th. They'll want to keep that. Hopefully, Man United won't have to fight for 7th. I'm predicting top 4 for them next season, just purely out of hope rather than expectation. Of course, Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, they'll all finish top 7 next season. It'll be the big 6 and one of West Ham, Leicester, Brighton or Wolves next season, or Newcastle to get that 7th spot. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll come to that in August when I do my predictions for the Premier League once again. But that is going to wrap up these Premier League predictions. I'll say it once again. Championship, League 1 and League 2 predictions will come after the playoff finals, because I did predict playoffs as well within those videos. So I will review them then. Of course, if you want to take a look at the spreadsheet, if you haven't understood where I predicted players, then the spreadsheet will show you where I predicted them, and if I've not made it clear enough, how many places apart they were. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. I know it's been quite a long reaction video. I apologise for that. Like I said, one more time, hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you next time when I continue with reacting to my other football predictions, which will probably be way off. Goodbye.